online one. The Jeff and Janki show is back on the air. Or
It kind of stopped all of a sudden, huh?
Or if we, as we call it in my neighborhood, the Janki and Jeff show.
Boy, they just yanked the needle right off the turntable on that one.
Did. They sure did.
Damn.
Well, more.
Oh, there it comes again.
You moron, that's not going to fill 2 hours.
Is that Mr. Leprechaun or is it Bernard?
What are you talking about? Oh, Bernard.
Well, that's that second verse of the intro music.
I think
there it goes again.
Bernard called you on your phone yesterday, and you thought it was the voice of God. You said you talked to God, and he sounds like Bernard.
Yeah. Wow. Out of our control.
This is our A material. We're still better than Roy and Jimmy.
Oh, man. Oh, how dare you. Oh. Hey. Here we are, man. It's been a while, dude.
I know. Been a while. I think Casey Mussman was our last show, the beautiful effects artist.
Yes, with our hammer queen, Veronica Carlson.
Loved her too. Yeah. Been a long hiatus. You know.
Yeah.
Basically, those who listen, Jeff and I both had gigs that couldn't be avoided. You know, and
yep.
And I mean, unfortunately, we weren't on the air for the worst story of all, the death of Stan Lee.
Yeah.
You know?
There was one of the other shows I was watching here. I forget the name of it, but they covered that. They were talking about that.
A show on here, really? Yeah. And did they ever meet Stan Lee?
I'm not sure. I didn't watch it long enough to find out.
Did they was it on Chaotic?
Yeah, right here.
Wow. Well, I'm sure they had the guy on who talked to Stan over 12 times.
Yeah. Now.
Oh wait, no, they wouldn't have because that's me. 12 interviews. Stan the man hung with him. Interviewed his wife. Met his somewhat awful daughter.
Yeah, is she the one that was? Who's the guy that was bullying him? Remember that?
Yeah.
Punching him in the arms and you'd sign these autographs.
It was kind of sad. I saw Stan maybe last year when it was in. I did a signing in Phoenix, Phoenix Comic Con, and Stan was there. And they said people who were backstage said Stan was complaining about a sore arm, and they were like, "Well, just sign another 200 to 400 of them." He's 94 at the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he looked kind of dazed, and all the stories were kind of rushed, and he seemed puffed out. It just made me sad.
Yeah.
You know, that's no way to treat an icon.
No.
You know, and end of an era. I mean, the literally probably the greatest. I'm going to say it, the greatest writer in the history of comics.
That's right. And he created, even though he didn't create,
he co-created.
Did Jack Kirby create Captain America?
No, Jack Kirby and Joe Simon created Captain America.
Oh.
But remember, Captain America had been around
since the 40s.
Well, when Stan, as a teenager, wrote his first Captain America story, he made the shield like the fighting weapon. In I think it's the Curse of the Traitor's Revenge. It was Stan's idea to have Cap throw it around like a frisbee.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And bouncing into...
Instead of the regular shield.
Kirby basically just used it like a bulletproof vest.
Yeah.
And he used it to smash down doors.
Yeah. Oh, that show's called Nerd Dungeon.
Nerd Dungeon? Who hosts that?
I don't know.
It's on Chaotic?
Yeah. Those guys were talking some... Yeah, I watched it for a while. Those guys had some good stuff going on.
Nerd Dungeon?
Nerd Dungeon.
I wonder if they need a new co-host. I would like to be in the Nerd Dungeon once in a while.
Yeah, what a great title, huh?
Yeah, Nerd Dungeon. It gives my grandmother's neighborhood in Seattle. Bernard, our station manager, probably knows this because he goes to Emerald City. They had this great dingy comic shop on the 45th, like 2 blocks from my grandma's house, and it was called the Comics Dungeon. And that's why it made me laugh when The Simpsons came along later. This predates The Simpsons. They chose the title "The Android's Dungeon" for the comic shop. The title makes no sense. Android and what the hell is that? You're gonna look at porn on the air?
Yeah.
And if that's your porn, where are all the girls?
No.
Oh my God! You trimmed your mustache.
No, this.
You no longer look
cut
like
that off. I cut off the chin strip.
you no longer look like a Victorian pedophile.
Well, you know what? I went to guess where I went last. I went and saw.
Oh, you went to their wedding.
On Dookie Fleischwater's last show because he's going in for brain surgery.
What happened to Dookie?
They found a blood clot in his brain and they got to remove it.
Was it in the backyard like it was? When did we go see him? Like last year or 2 years ago?
Yeah, it was.
You and I went there. You chainsawed his stomach open, remember?
Yeah.
And he killed, 1 year he killed Eric Caden. I was there for that.
Yeah.
And then Eric Caden unfortunately died himself.
He,
How old is Dookie now?
he's like 62.
Wow.
Man. He's getting up there. But it was a benefit show with the radioactive chicken heads.
Our kids.
Our buddy Laffy Pants, yeah.
Well, my buddies with all three of them. I found them adorable. I went to that. We had them on the morning after the that amazing Comic-Con pre-party, the Jeffrey Gunn pre-party.
Yes.
I literally went right from L.A., got home just in time for you to pick me up, and then we came to the station. And I'm sitting there staring at the radioactive chicken heads for like 2 hours, and I felt like it was just insane.
But it was a great show. I had a good time. I think that's what the night you were at you were hanging out with SpongeBob.
That's right. That would have been the same night. Yeah, I helped Miles Flanagan put on the LA Animation Festival. Tom Kenny, I've met him before. We hung with him when we did the Crimbus Tim and Eric Christmas special.
Crimbus, it's all about receiving. Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. And the great thing about Tom Kenny that night is he looked around, made sure there was nothing but adults. And he did this SpongeBob tripping, SpongeBob steps on glass or something. And it was SpongeBob, he was doing the SpongeBob voice, but he was progressively swearing more and more and more and more.
Oh, that must have been fun.
And then he found out the sound guy had brought his 7-year-old daughter. Oh my God! What I loved about that was a Tim and Eric, and to Tom Kenny's credit, he was trying to make sure the kid wasn't harmed by hearing SpongeBob let loose. You know?
Yeah.
A very sweet guy, though. Good guy.
Who else was there, Pat?
Wow. Well, the Animation Festival was kind of a blast. The guys who made the Isle of Dogs. You know that amazing movie. Hey, have you guys seen the Isle of Dogs? The lead animator designer was at this thing this weekend, the Animation Film Festival, LA Animation Film Festival. Sorry, Miles. And what an amazing, moving movie. I mean, I was so choked up. And as a dog lover, parts of it were hard to watch. I just watched Fantastic Mr. Fox, which had one of the greatest soundtracks I'd ever heard. And this one didn't disappoint. Also, Isle of Dogs, the character designer explained they made the oldest, there's an older Asian scientist in the movie, and he was based on the guy who played the scientist in the original Godzilla.
Wow.
Remember the guy with the tortoiseshell glasses?
Yes.
Not the guy with the eye patch.
Yeah, the guy with the eye patch.
Well, the guy with the eye patch, here's a great story. You know Lo Pan from Big Trouble in Little China?
Yeah, Lo Pan. Yeah.
Lo Pan, he's Chinese. And James Hong, I've interviewed him a couple times.
Right.
And James did, when Godzilla came to America, remember there's a guy who's after this girl, and she's also in love with the mad scientist who creates the stuff that kills Godzilla with the eye patch? James Hong does the voice of both guys in the love triangle.
Wow.
True story.
Now, what's the latest? We got another Godzilla movie coming out?
We do. King of the Monsters. Trailer should drop any day now.
King of the Monsters. I saw some toys. That's what I was asking, because I saw a couple of Godzilla toys that said King of the Monsters.
In the stores?
Yeah, I saw it somewhere. Or did I see it on here on the internet?
You must have seen it on the internet, because the movie was going to come out this month. They pushed it back to March or February.
So maybe, they always put a lot of toys out before the movies, right?
Well, the toys are going to be by the guys who did. By the guys who did King Kong Skull Island, so they're going to look great.
Oh yeah, those were some great. We got our Kong figures.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And we got to get our latest Godzilla ones, too.
I gave my baby nephew one. In fact, I was so proud last Easter when he got one. I put the ape had bendable arms, so I was able to have the King Kong ape when I gave it to him wearing the Ewok backpack.
Yeah. The King Kong, I love the King Kong ride at Universal. It's 3-day. It kind of really fools your senses. Man.
Did you go to Universal over the break?
Yeah, I did. I hung out and I watched the Harry Potter projection show.
Did you get in free, or did you pay like a chump?
Well, I have an annual pass.
We called it the app.
I could go any day I want. They have a few blackout days.
We called the ass pass.
Yeah. In fact, that day I ran into our buddy Dominic Pace when I went and parked my car at the ballpark.
You ran into Dom?
Yeah, he parked right next to me, and he had his son with him and his baseball bat.
Wow. Was he on his way?
Hey, what are you doing, man?
Dom's a great guy.
He said he ran into you on a show.
He did. Yeah, we hung, we talked. We have to have Dominic back on,
Yeah, he just asked us for our emails. I guess he's going to shoot us something, huh?
Yeah, make sure he gets them. Cool, very cool dude. Really enjoy him.
Oh, by the way, folks, we have a guest on our show today.
What a crap job we've been doing. All right.
Bill Superfoot.
Sugarfoot?
Not Sugarfoot.
You moron.
Bill Superfoot Wallace, man.
Bill Superfoot Wallace, the man who taught Elvis Kung Fu.
Yeah.
He fought Chuck Norris.
And he fought in the with Bruce Lee, man. Enter the Dragon.
What did they fight about?
They fought about territory, man. Screen time.
Are you sure he's in Enter the Dragon? I'm going to have to look this up.
Yeah.
I love Enter the Dragon. I must have seen it a zillion times. You know who's an extra on that? Jackie Chan.
Jackie Chan was an extra.
Jackie Chan is one of the guys hit in the face by Bruce Lee with a stick at the end of the movie.
Isn't that great? Oh, my God. Yeah. Jackie, he was young enough to be in that movie. Yes.
He was, or old enough to be in that movie.
Yeah, he was old enough to be in that movie.
1973, back when dinosaurs walked the earth.
Yep.
So what have you done over the break, Boner? Tell me more.
Well, okay. What else did we do? What else has happened since then?
Well, Stan Lee is still
dead.
Let's
see. I worked on. I was going to go to that animation thing with you, but I was working with Marilyn Giglotti on her film.
What are you playing in the film?
Veronica from Clerks.
What are you going to play in the film?
This is all behind. We're behind the camera. She was directing, and I was production assistant.
She said, "You have a face for behind the camera, Jeffrey."
Yeah, you have a face for behind the camera.
She said, as production assistant, she said, "Is this coffee hot?"
Yeah.
And you said,
"We had their own coffee maker there, man. The craft services were good."
Oh, did you take the Keurig down?
No, somebody else had their own Keurig.
Did it work?
Machine. Oh, yeah, it worked. Coffee all day long.
Coffee all day long. Yeah. Oh, wow. Well, but yeah, so did you do any molding jobs?
I was working for a Universal Studios project for a new ride.
Is there an NDA, or can you tell us?
It's I don't think I'm allowed to talk about it.
Okay.
But it's a new ride. It's right next to between Walking Dead and Minions. And now they tore that building down, and they tore my helicopter that I built for the ride for the walkthrough, the maze or whatever. It's like a maze. But they had a crashed helicopter between two buildings, and they took that down after all that hard work I put into it. But I imagine it'll go up as soon as the walls from the new building go up for the new ride.
Are they bringing back the Van Helsing ride?
Oh, wouldn't that be cool?
I would have them bring a ride back. I want every flop Universal ride brought back. I want E.T. I want the Mummy.
Oh, the Mummy's still there.
Oh, the Mummy is still there?
The Mummy was from a maze that you experience. You go through like a haunted shack kind of thing. But now it's it's the projection ride.
Al the Palacalachi and I went several years back. I haven't done Universal in any great amount in a while, and we kept seeing people on people on go like this. You got a tear in your eye. No other eye, dummy. There we go. Perfect.
Eye boogers on the radio, everybody.
But it's charming. Yeah. One more reason you're the pinup boy you've always been. Yeah. So anyway, Al and I see these people going ahead of us. There must be two lines because we see people really roaring in the line over our heads. So I pick Al up and lift him onto the second floor, because our line's not going anywhere. And I just grab the railing and I climb up like 5 feet. I didn't realize it was the fast pass where people pay like $100.
Yeah, people pay that extra money for that fast pass stuff.
But we were on the ride in like 2 minutes, and I did that all day long, like King Kong, and lift him up, and then I'd climb up.
You went up there like King Kong.
Yeah.
But yeah, this one I had to make a mock-up, and the walls are really high because it's another projection ride, where it fools your senses, and you kind of curved and.
Batman turns 80 next year, by the way.
Yeah, you got to put on those special 3D glasses,
Yeah.
And so this one should be interesting. I mean, oh man, all the stuff that gets involved and all the laser scanning to make the projection and all the props that we had to place and it's pretty crazy, man.
Were you happy with it?
Very frustrating to do.
Intriguing.
Yeah. So,
Bill Superfoot Wallace. Maybe we should call him now.
Yeah, let me get his number up here. Okay.
Don't say it on the air.
Didn't you do another audition? Something
Can't
cool?
talk about it yet, chum.
Yeah.
The less said, the better.
Yeah. So what about this snow, this weather? I'm kind of digging it, man.
I'm digging it too. I mean, we're in a state.
Why not have snow for Christmas,
We're in a state where the weather never changes. Now it does. I love this. I mean, I came out to California in December in the winter months. The Mount Baldy looked like a Count Dracula movie, and this feels like Seattle to me. This is as close as we come to Seattle.
Yeah. What about your home in Detroit?
You know what? Right now,
yeah,
you'd be under about 3 feet of snow.
Oh, wow.
And you know how cold it is? And it is nippy. But you know how cold everyone's complaining it is here?
That ain't nothing compared to Detroit.
When you open the front door and you can feel wherever the air can reach your belly, your fish belly under your coat.
Yeah.
And it'll find whatever opening there is between the jacket and your bare skin. It'll feel like you've been cut in half by glass.
Oh, wow. That's cold right there, brother.
You walk into school. This is horrible. You walk into school in the snow. I remember this when I was like 8 years old. I slipped on some black ice and hit my head on a curb.
No!
Yeah. I remember walking. We would buy comics when I was a kid at Arnold's Prescription Drugs next to Farmer Jack. And I had a Superman and a Spider-Man. And I remember walking back and an ice storm came on. An ice storm, like rain, but it was freezing, ice cold rain. And half of it's like snow.
Oh, God.
And my comics are soaked because they give me a crappy paper bag. And they're ruined. Paper.
Yeah.
Remember, comics are made of pulp. So when they dry.
And so is your fiction.
Yeah. Boo. So when they dry, they kind of curl. It's unreadable.
Yeah.
You can't turn the pages.
His comic book pages are stuck together.
And then Superman, I remember it was Superman, it was Thanksgiving, either the day before or the weekend of Thanksgiving. And it was Superman versus Frankenstein and Dracula.
Oh, what?
And you couldn't turn it what was a really crappy looking Frankenstein and Dracula because they couldn't draw them Universal style.
Superman versus Frankenstein.
And I remember my mom going, Ricky, put them in front of the fireplace. And they just curled like really ugly, like when you chainsaw art on pieces of tree trunk. And you couldn't open it and you couldn't turn the pages. It was just disgusting.
Oh, wow. Look, I'm going to go into that booth right there. I'm going to call Bill. Let's get him going here. So keep talking.
Yes.
Talking, chum.
Dig deep into the gathering gloom.
Let me get past you.
Sure. Okay, I'm going to do me. And hi, Jeff. How you been? I'm fine.
Excuse us, because it's been a while.
It has been a while. I don't remember how to work the radio. I worry my Jeff imitation doesn't sound stupid enough. Maybe I should throw in a drrr. Boy, oh boy, we have been out of the saddle a little bit. So our guest, Bill Superfoot Wallace, actor, martial artist. All sorts of interesting things he's going to talk about with us. Boy, oh boy, oh boy.
I forgot the code. The code is the same as the front door.
Yeah, but don't say it on the air.
Oh, God. Oh, man.
Trust me, if you say the code in the front, Bernard will be here to righteously kick your ass.
Okay.
And who can blame him? Yes?
What was it?
777? Wow. Interesting. Yeah, okay. So we'll have Bill Superfoot Wallace on in a minute, and we'll talk all about martial arts.
Yeah. Okay, wait.
Junior.
Let me get back here and...
Oh, my, folks, it's me, Jim Sargent.
Okay.
You called poor Bernard like a genie. Bernard, save me.
Okay, let's see. Bernard, I got to get that front code in there. I can't remember.
I can. Do you need me to write it down for you?
I
Yes.
don't even I'm so unprepared. Where's my
Do you need the number?
Yeah. What? No, not that number. That's the code to get into the door, the front door.
Okay.
It's the front door code. Oh, God.
I'm glad everyone finds this so compelling.
Yeah. Steve Joyner, are you listening right now?
Oh, man.
God, here I am scrolling through my...
Yes?
Scrolling through my code. Blah, 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 blah. Oh, gosh. Oh, okay, I got it.
You sure?
All right. Here
All
we
right,
go.
so,
Here we go. Excuse us, folks.
This show will not be winning us any golden mics.
I had dyslexia. I had the same, the digits were scrambled. I got binary numerical dyslexia.
You do?
Yeah.
I thought you were just stupid.
Oh, dare you. Okay, here we go.
Well,
Okay.
this clearly won't be one of my 5 favorite shows of the year, with or without good old Superfoot. So we're about to talk to the most dangerous man alive, apparently.
Yeah. You heard it ringing.
Hello?
Hey, Bill Superfoot Wallace. This is the Jeff and Janki show.
This is my co-host, Janki. I'm me. You know who I am.
I'm the smarter, better looking of the two, but I'm very honored you're on the show.
I can hardly hear you, my friend. I can hardly hear you.
Okay, let me crank up the board.
Hang on, we're going to crank up the board.
Okay.
Hold on, Bill. Don't go anywhere. So martial arts superstar Bill Superfoot Wallace is going to talk to us about his illustrious career. Sounds the same to me, Geoffrey.
Okay, how does it sound now?
Bill, say something. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hardly hear you very well, so you have to enunciate a little bit better because I can hardly hear you.
Okay, let me switch mics. Maybe that'll work.
Wait, I don't think I got it cranked up all the way, Pat.
All right, crank it up all the way. This man's an important guest. Hold on, Bill.
This is what happened when we don't have an engineer in the studio.
Yep. Okay, try it now.
How about...
He can barely hear us.
You can barely hear us?
I can't hear you.
God, you're coming in loud and clear.
Yeah, you're
Are we going to have to do it on my phone?
Let's do it on your phone.
Okay, I asked Bernard, I cranked up our mics, and it's still weak.
He can't hear us.
Bill?
I can't hear you very well.
Wow.
Okay, we're going to have to call you on... Call me on my telephone, and then we're going to hook you up to my microphone.
That might be the only way to do it, Bill.
Okay.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Oh, my God. Okay, Bill, you're going to have to...
We'll call you back in a minute. Thanks to you. Let's see. Hold on, Bill. We're trying to figure this out. Hold on. Holy cow.
Okay.
30 seconds, my friend. We'll see what we can do. Hold on.
Okay. Well, that's not working.
Nope. Get in there and talk to him and grab some coffee.
I'm going to call him right now. No, I'm calling him right now.
Okay, I need water. Give me a sec. I'll be right back.
Grab some water.
You want one?
Well, hurry up. We got to get this going.
I'm coming.
Hi, this is Bill Wallace. Please leave a message. Thank you.
At the tone, click.
Hello, I couldn't hear you. I couldn't hear a word you said.
Okay, how's it now, Bill?
Perfect, yes, absolutely perfect.
Okay.
No problem at all.
All right, Patrick, get in here. Yeah, I don't know what it was with the... This is a new station. We moved from another station to this new location. And that was the first time I've used this phone here. And so that's something that has to be worked out. I don't know why it's not...
That's what it sounded like.
Oh, God.
You're perfect now. No problem at all.
All right. All right, Patrick. All right. So how's it? It's raining like crazy here this morning.
Oh, it's beautiful here. It was about 45 degrees, but chilly. But blue skies. It's absolutely gorgeous outside. Another terrible day in paradise.
How long have you lived there in Florida?
I've been here since 1999.
Wow, 1999.
Yeah, my wife has been here since 92, so, long time.
So back in the early martial arts days, were you based here in Los Angeles?
No, I grew up and I was raised in Indiana, Lafayette, Indiana. And when I started competing, I was going to Ball State University in Muncie, Indiana.
Wow. So what?
A long time ago.
So what brought you to LA and got you in the martial arts film industry?
Well, what happened is I was in Memphis, Tennessee, working for Elvis Presley at the time, and Chuck Norris, who has been a friend of mine for a long, long time, was passing through Memphis, and I was champion. I was world champion at the time. This is 1978, and he came by the school, and just to see, say hi, how you doing? He said, "Hey, can we spar?" And I said, "Sure, love to spar with you." And we sparred for about an hour and a half. Just beat the living shit out of each other, and had a blast. And at the end of the time, he said, "Hey, I'm doing this film called A Force of One. You'd make a great bad guy. Are you interested?"
All right.
Wow, Force of One. That's the one with Jennifer O'Neill, right?
Yes, that's her. except I liked her better with long hair. She had
Oh.
real short hair. Nice lady, but I liked her better with long hair when she did Summer of '42.
Wow. But you know what? I love Force of One. They used to, they just ran it on, not Comet TV. They ran it on MeTV or something recently. You know?
they had that, yeah.
I mean,
good.
you worked with everybody. You worked with Chuck. You worked with Philip Bree. You worked with all these martial arts greats.
Yeah.
How'd you miss doing
I
a
died real good. I'm a good dyer, I guess.
How'd you miss doing any ninja movies?
I just never did. They were popular in the first part of the '80s and so forth. And I was still doing seminars. I was doing exhibition matches all over the place. And I guess I'd like to be seen.
But I mean, now was Paul Aaron? I meant to ask you this. Was Paul Aaron Norris?
I don't know. Paul Aaron, in what movie was that?
On Force of One, the director was Paul Aaron. I always wondered if that was.
No. Aaron Norris was the stunt coordinator.
Oh, okay.
Stunt coordinator. Paul Aaron was the director.
Wow. Okay. I always wondered if Aaron Norris had done that under a pseudonym, but I guess not, huh?
No. Paul Aaron, nice guy. Did a great job, I thought.
Oh yeah. I mean.
Of course, back then I didn't know anyway, so
But it's like a who's who of character actors. I mean, you had Pepe Cerna, you had Eric Landeville in one of his first movies.
Oh yeah. Eric at that time when we did the movie was like 32 years old, and he looked like about 16 or 17. He didn't even shave yet, little fart.
Wow.
Yeah, but he did a great job. He did a super job.
Well, it was co-written by Ernest Tidyman, who's the creator of Shaft. So that's amazing.
Yeah, it was a good movie. Pat Johnson helped write the film, write the script.
Wow.
And it was a great idea.
Yeah, no. Force of One is one of the first one of Chuck's. It might even be the first. I think it's before Good Guys Wear Black. I think it's the first one where Chuck is the main draw, right?
Oh yeah. When we did that, he'd done Breaker and Good Guys Wear Black, and those were the first two films that Chuck did. But they did okay. They did great. But then we did a Force of One, and they kind of that put him on the big screen because he did a great job and he was fantastic in the film and helped me out so much. I didn't know anything.
Wow.
Absolutely nothing about filming or anything else. So he did a super job helping me, and he looked great. Chuck looked absolutely fantastic.
Wow.
How many locations did you go on that film?
We were San Diego, and then we filmed a couple of fight scenes in Los Angeles.
Wow.
On Sunset Boulevard.
Wow.
Now, Bill, is it true? Is it true you taught Elvis karate?
No, I did not. Elvis first learned karate in Germany when he was over there in the service. And then he came back and went to continue training, and Ed Parker was his teacher. Ed Parker in Pasadena, California.
Right, very good, very good.
Yeah.
Ed even had a place in Azusa at one point.
Excuse me again?
Ed even had a dojo for a while in Pasadena. I mean, in Azusa.
He's had tons of them. When Ed Parker was alive, a fantastic person also, he had schools all over Southern California and Northern California. He had people in Salt Lake City. He had people in Phoenix, Arizona. Schools were all over California and the West Coast. Fantastic teacher.
Did a lot of his students go into the film industry?
Well, Jeff Speakman went into it.
Holy cow, you were in there with Jeff Speakman.
Yep. Jeff Speakman was one of his top students.
The perfect weapon.
Yep, that's him.
And you even, now let me ask you, is Chuck Norris as good as they say since you sparred with him?
He sure was. He still is. He was absolutely fantastic. He was probably in the mid to late 60s, he was the number one point fighter in the country.
Wow.
Yep, tough guy.
He's the
and
best.
very good technician.
Wow. Now let me ask you: could he have taken Bruce Lee or vice versa?
Well, see, now we're going to have some controversy there because Chuck Norris was a fighter. Bruce Lee, as far as I understand from talking to Bob Wall and talking to Chuck and talking to several other people, Bruce didn't fight. Hold on just a minute. I'm on home doing this thing, and we have a guy coming in and working on everything, so let me just let him in.
Oh, sure. Bill is being eaten by what?
Okay.
It sounds like Bill Superfoot Wallace is being mauled by evil wild dogs.
My wife and I, we have 5 dogs, and we have 2, a pug, a Shih Tzu, 3 Shih Tzus, and a puggle. So all over the place.
I have a puggle.
Ferocious.
Oh, they're absolutely ferocious. You'll walk in the door, and they'll bark at you. In about 3 seconds, they're all over you, licking you, and everything. So.
Well, yeah, I don't think you need 5 dogs. Anybody would be crazy to rob your house.
but yeah, from what I understand, talking to my friends, Chuck and Bob Wall and these people, that Bruce didn't really fight. He was a good technician, absolutely fantastic technician, but he didn't spar that much.
Wow.
When he did the fight scene with Bob Wall, a lot of the people there wanted Bruce to spar with Bob, and Bob said okay, and then he's out there, and Bruce says, well, Bob, you throw this punch, I'll block the punch and kick you, and he's screaming, no, we want you just to spar.
Really?
And he wouldn't do it.
Wow.
Yeah, he wouldn't do it. Well, you have to understand the same thing with Elvis. Elvis never sparred with anybody. He never sparred. He never beat on the bag. The reason is he couldn't take a chance of, number one, getting hit, getting bruised.
Oh
getting
yeah.
hurt, breaking something. And because if in Elvis's situation, if he gets a bruised rib or something like this, and he's supposed to go on tour, there's 2 or 3 months that's out of the tour.
Wow. I hadn't even thought of that actually.
Yeah. And let's say Bruce Lee gets punched or something, gets accidentally cut. Now that's 2 months, 3 months that the film doesn't get shown or that doesn't get worked on, and all these people that are working on a film still get paid.
Wow.
Because the insurance wouldn't let it happen. Insurance companies would not let it happen.
Wow.
When I did the film with Jackie Chan, he said, "Could we spar?" And I said, "Sure, I don't care." And because it was done in China, it was okay. But we sparred a little bit, and nobody hit anybody. But we sparred,
Oh, that was on the Protector, right? That was Protector, I think, which is one of Jackie's.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yep. I died in that one too.
How was he good? Was Janki good?
He's okay. He was a very good technician. Good kicker, good movement. Again, the techniques that they use in the films is much, much different than the one they use in the kickboxing ring.
Really?
So these.
Oh yeah.
So
the fight scenes, the fight movements in films has to be nice and wide and very, very big. So the camera, number one, can pick it up. Number two, the fans can see it.
Wow.
And number three, you say, hey, wow, that's really neat.
That's
If I throw something at you and you can't see it at all, like couple of kicking things that I do. If you can't even see it, how's the camera going to pick it up? And if the camera doesn't pick it up, the people that are watching the film say, "What the hell was that all about? What just happened?"
Yeah,
Wow.
that happened so quick, and the guy's down. What happened?
Yeah, exactly. And you can't play it back. So.
I remember Stanley Ralph Ross, who was a writer for the old Batman TV show with Adam West. He was on the lot when they were at Fox while they were shooting Green Hornet next door.
Right.
And he said he was 6'8", and he saw Bruce Lee, and he got into a conversation with Bruce Lee, and he said Bruce Lee was tiny. I mean, like tiny.
Oh, yeah, he's about 5'7" or 5'8", about 140 pounds.
Right. And he goes, well, Bruce, I thought you'd have me quick into my boots. You're a tiny little guy. He goes, I kept hearing how dangerous you were. And he said Bruce Lee looked up at him and goes, you smoke a cigarette? And he goes, yeah, I'm a chain smoker. And he goes, you put cigarettes in mouth. And he said he put a cigarette in his mouth, and remember, he's 6'8". And he said Bruce Lee did a backflip that kicked the cigarette out of his mouth.
He can do that. You know, the speed, the flexibility, the movement, and the control is absolutely fantastic, and that's what we all strive for.
Wow.
Doesn't do any good to throw something hard and miss.
Wow. Now, did you ever fight Gene LaBelle?
I would never ever fight Gene LaBelle. Gene LaBelle is the toughest one dude that I've ever met in my life.
Wow. Wow.
Yes, Gene LaBelle is one of those guys. Write this down in your book. Gene LaBelle is one of those guys that no matter what happens, you want him on your side.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, he choked. Every stunt guy in Hollywood will tell you about the time he choked out Steven Seagal.
Twice he did.
Twice? Oh my God.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah. They were working on some they were working on some movie.
On Deadly Ground. On Deadly Ground.
Was that what it was?
Yeah.
But anyway, all the stunt people were sitting over there with Gene and everything, and then Steven Seagal came up and started talking about Chuck Norris. And, not really good things, but he's talking about Chuck Norris, and Gene says, excuse me, but Steven, Chuck is one of my friends. I appreciate it if you wouldn't talk bad about him. And Steven Seagal turned his back to him and said, I bet you can't choke me out. And before he could get the out, he was on his ass. He was on his ass.
Oh, he put him in his place right there, man.
Yeah, well, not really. He gets up, and then he turns to him and says, I bet you can't do it with me facing you. And he choked him out before I was facing him.
What?
He choked him out so fast he peed his pants.
Yeah, that's the version I heard. That's the pants peeing is my favorite version. Hey, and now how was Cynthia Rothrock? Was she good?
Who?
Cynthia Rothrock?
Oh, Cynthia's great. She's absolutely fantastic. Her technique is absolutely superb, and a very, very, very nice lady. A great actress.
Wow.
But very good technician. Superb.
Wow, awesome.
We ran into her at Comic-Con.
We did. Very sweet lady, as you said. You know what I mean? I'm just, you've got a who's who of martial artists, man. I'm just kind of in awe of all the people you worked with.
Well, we've had a good time. When I did a film with Cynthia way long time ago, probably in the 1980s.
Yeah. Well,
we did it up in San Francisco. I just did a little bit part with her. She was doing a film with George Chung.
Yeah, and Richard Norton.
Yeah.
From Kindergarten Cop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good guy. I have a story about him I can't tell you on the air, but it's a good story.
With Richard?
Yeah.
I got some stories that I can tell you too about. Richard's a great guy. Richard is a super guy. Did I ever tell you the story? Well, we just met. Did I ever tell the story how I met John Belushi?
No. Oh,
yeah, tell us
you know what?
about
You're in
that.
Wired. You're a big part of Wired, Bill. I read Wired by Bob Woodward, and you're a major part of that book. Talk about John Belushi and how you got hired and what your job was. This is a great story.
Richard Norton was visiting. I was living in Memphis, Tennessee. This is 1979, about 1979. And Richard Norton visits me in Memphis, Tennessee. And he's going to go out to Los Angeles. And I said, well, I'll just pull out there with you. So we fly out to Los Angeles, and he says, hey, I want to go to a party tonight, a New Year's Eve party. And I said, oh, great. And he says, you want to go? And I says, I don't care. He says, well, I'm going to go to Mick Fleetwood's party. And I said, oh, okay, fine. He said, you know who Mick Fleetwood is? I said, no, who's Mick Fleetwood? He said, you know who Fleetwood Mac is? I said, oh, shit, I'm sorry. So I didn't even, I just thought it was Mick Fleetwood, So we get out there. And I'm a car freak. I love cars. And this 1970, it's a 2000. Well, I don't know what year it is. Early 70s, I guess, or late 60s. 275 GTB long nose Ferrari.
Oh wow!
Right now, they're worth about $2 or $3 million. But anyway, It was parked out front, and Mick Fleetwood comes out to visit to see us, to welcome us. And I says, "I love your car." He says, "You like that?" I said, "Yeah." He says, he flips me the keys and says, "Here, take it for a spin." I said, "No, thank you, not for $2.5 million." So we go inside, and John Belushi and his wife Judy are playing the drums.
Wow.
And he sees me, he kind of waves to me a little bit, and I don't know John, And he gets off the drums, comes in and says, you're that Superfoot guy, aren't you? You're that karate kickboxer guy." And I said, "Yeah." He says, "Hey, wow." And he shakes my hand. So we stand there and talk a little bit. And he says, "What are you doing next June?" And I says, "I don't have any plans. I'm supposed to defend my title for the last time, but I don't have any plans." He says, "Well, you want to go on tour with us?" Now, again, I'm from Memphis, Tennessee, so I'm very naive. The Blues Brothers hadn't even come out yet. So I'm sitting there, I said, "Well, what tour is this?" He says, we're going to do a Blues Brothers tour. And I says, "Oh, wow, really?" He says, "Yeah, we're going to go on tour, go all over the country. He would love for me to go with them and train them, keep them in shape, just to work out with them so they have something to do." And I said, "Sure, I'd love to do that," thinking, yeah. As soon as I leave here, you're going to forget anyway. So I give him my telephone number. I get back to Memphis. The 1st of June, I was supposed to defend my title the 15th of June. The 1st of June, he calls and says, "You still going to go on tour with us?" I said, "Yeah, if I win, I'd love to go on tour." And he says, "Fine." And I fight, and it was on live CBS Sports Spectacular. So he calls me after I win, and he says, Congratulations. I said, "Well, thank you very much." He said, "There's a ticket waiting for you at the Indianapolis airport.
Wow.
To Chicago so we can rehearse." And the rest is kind of history.
How did you not appear in the Blues Brothers movie? You would have known him at the time and stuff, and they knew you were a badass.
I went on the tour. I wasn't in the movie.
Wow.
I didn't do the movie. The tour came up after the movie was done.
Oh, I see. So the movie was already in the can.
Yeah, the movie was done, and then it was so popular that they decided to do the tour.
Wow. That's amazing. So did you have a good time? I mean, what was it like? Who opened for them? What was it like? You must have seen drugs everywhere.
Oh, wow. Well, I started working with them June 16th, that Sunday.
June 16th, my parents' wedding anniversary and the day Jaws 2 opened. Go on.
Say that again, please.
That was June 16th was my parents' wedding anniversary. It's the day George Reeves died, Superman, and it's the day Jaws 2 opened. It means nothing, I guess. Anyway.
I think I lost you a little bit.
No worries. Go, sir. But tell us more. So you June 16th, what happens?
Yeah, and then we go on to, we started going on tour the 1st of July. We rehearsed in Chicago for about a week and a half. And then the 1st of July, we went on tour, flew to Washington, D.C. From Washington, D.C., went to, I believe, in New York. And then from New York to Memphis, Tennessee. From Memphis, Tennessee to Texas. From Texas to Denver, Colorado. And then he did a couple shows up north. And then they did 3 shows in Los Angeles.
Wow.
And we finished the 1st of August.
Wow. So you spent the summer. How were they? What were Belushi and Aykroyd like at that time?
Oh, they were, ironically enough, Dan Aykroyd is the most inflexible guy you've ever seen in your life. When you watch him dance, he's absolutely phenomenal.
Wow.
He couldn't touch his knees, let alone his toes.
Really?
And just wild. We were doing we worked out doing the Blues Brothers, the tour. We'd worked out. He and John and a couple of the guys would work out, and I'd work with the kicking techniques, work with the punching techniques, work with some of the combinations, and John would be kicking waist height maybe, and Danny would be kicking right about the ankle.
Wow.
That's about as inflexible as you can get.
All you gotta do is lean back a little bit, you're that high,
Wow. That's just incredible to hear, Incredible. I mean,
Yeah, well, we had a good time. Had a super time, and we did that the entire month of July, and worked out really, really well. And then when we finished the tour, they went home. They went back to New York, and I stayed in L.A. because I was living out there. And then he calls me the middle of September. He says, "Hey, we're going to do a movie called Continental Divide, and would you like to work out with me because I got to lose some weight?" I said, "Sure, I'd love to."
what?
So started doing it again.
No. Speaking of which, you groaned when I mentioned the name of Bob Woodward's book on the final days of Belushi Wired. Did you not think the book was accurate? I'm curious about that.
Well, the trouble with history is it's written by the winners.
Yeah, true.
And and what happens is the things that he was saying about John were true. The circumstances were different. You have to understand why things happen. Sometimes, you're just around the wrong crowd, and when you're around the wrong crowd, you do what that crowd does just to stay in the good side of them.
Wow.
And when John was working, we were working on a film called Milton Rot out in Los Angeles. He was working on a script with a guy named Don Novello, Father Tarducci.
Yeah, and Tino, I think Tino Inosanto too, right?
But anyway, they were working on a film, and the film company didn't think it was funny. It was supposed to be funny. Even though it was a drama, it was supposed to be funny. And they didn't like the script. So if you're working out, going to meetings all day long, the film meetings, the directors' meetings, the producers' meetings, meetings, you're working out around all day long, and you're working on the script at night. How do you stay awake to work on the script?
Oh no! Yeah, you'd have to turn to drugs.
Well, that's Don Novello's fault, because John would have been able to do it. The only thing is, because by the time, and I don't want to brag, but I had him in good shape. He could run a mile pretty good. We walked along Santa Monica Boulevard. We ran Santa Monica Boulevard from Doheny all the way down to when it was down to oh shit, I can't even remember the name of it. One of the major streets down to Beverly Drive.
Wow,
that's a good distance right there.
Oh, it is. And turned around and ran up the hill and came running back on Sunset Boulevard.
Wow.
And Aykroyd wouldn't be able to. He'd be winded if he tried that.
Well, would people recognize him, by the way? Would you? I mean, if you're running John Belushi, then a major TV and movie star, did people recognize him?
Oh no, we just were. He said, "Hi, how you doing?" And I ran with him, so people would leave us alone. People left us alone, and we would stop once in a while and do some push-ups. Stop once in a while and do some, So if you look at Santa Monica Boulevard, there's places that have a pull-up bar and they have a dip bar, along someplace. So we do the little exercise once around, drop down and do some sit-ups, and continue to run.
Wow.
And and he was doing absolutely fantastic. What really makes me mad is when the coroner said that John Belushi, when he died, he was obese. Now you tell me a guy that's obese that can run 2 miles nonstop, do 3 sets of pull-ups, three sets of dips, 3 sets of push-ups, three sets of sit-ups of 25 or 30 reps per set.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, and he was just a big little guy. He was 5'8", 5'9", something like that. But he was just heavy. He was one of those guys that just have one of those kind of physiques that you're heavy.
Wow.
And which works for him because that's what everybody expected him to be. So, but he was in very good physical condition.
Interesting.
Wow.
Wow, I mean, just amazing to hear this sort of thing. I mean, when you worked with Jackie Chan, how good was his English?
How good was the what?
How good was Jackie's English at that time?
Yeah.
We did a film in 1984 and I had just been retired for 4 years, so I was still in very good physical condition. So, and when we went over there, I'm a junk food freak. So I like hamburgers, French fries, all kinds of junk food, ice cream, all that stuff. And we go into the where they're doing the shooting, and this guy's got this big old pot, and he's stirring stuff. It's stirring the soup. And I say, what is that? And the guy says, it's lunch. And I said, no, I don't think so, because I'm seeing all kinds of heads popping up and chicken feet pop up and all that stuff. So I said, okay, yeah, I'm not eating this stuff. And so I said, there's a McDonald's right down the road. You go there and you get a hamburger round, because they don't have quarter pounders because they're on the metric system. I said, you get a hamburger round, French fries, and a Coke. He said, I can't do that. I said, well, then I'm not going to work. And I was with an American group over there, and I think I was the only American that didn't get sick.
Wow.
Yeah, I was over there for 9 weeks doing the film.
Wow. I mean, how exciting is that? Now, when you do these fight scenes,
Again?
I mean, how exciting is that? How often would you get tagged doing these fight scenes?
Oh, very, very, very seldom. It's you don't even want to touch anybody, because if I'm fighting with you and you're supposed to see, your job, if I throw the punch, is to sell the punch, to make it look like I just knocked the crap out of you.
Right.
And if I do hit you, you have a chance to tighten up a little bit, and it doesn't look nearly as good.
Wow.
So the body shots, I nailed Janki pretty good, because he said, I want you to hit me good. I said, okay, I'll do that. And I hit him with the body pretty good with some kicking techniques and some of the punching techniques. But you stay away from the face, because when you throw a punch or throw a kick at the face, the other guy has to sell it. So my job is to make him look good.
Wow.
And his job is to make me look good when I'm doing the kicking techniques or whatever it is. So it's very, 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 very well choreographed.
Wow. Interesting, I mean, but were you ever, during one of the film fight scenes, did you ever take a foot from Chuck Norris or Jackie Chan or anyone?
Oh, I learned from everybody. How to do the fight scenes, how to do the kicking techniques, nice and wide. Because when you're a fighter, the shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line.
Wow.
So the shorter the quicker, right? But the trouble is, the film, the camera doesn't pick that up very well. So they want the big old wide swings, the wide punches, the good old Sonny Haymaker punch, the old John Wayne punch. So the camera can pick it up and make it look good. So the stunt person that gets hit can take the punch, sell the punch, and make it look good also. So and you can do a punch or a kick real slow, and the camera can always
speed it up.
We want the perfection. We want the perfection part, not the speed part.
Ah.
Wow. That's just amazing. You know what I mean? I mean, how long does it take to film a fight scene like that?
Oh, wow. When Chuck and I did our main fight scene in Force of One, it took us an entire day.
Wow, you got it done in a day.
Well, we choreographed it. We had choreographed it like 3 weeks before that. We'd worked on it like 3 weeks before that. And then when we did the actual fight scene itself in San Diego, they have a sports arena there.
Yes.
We did it. We did it in the sports arena. It took us an entire day to redo the scene and redo the shots and redo the shoots and we did the entire fight scene nonstop. We did the entire fight scene nonstop. It's like 3 rounds.
Wow.
Then they stopped, and we did each point of views, POVs, and then they did shots of me getting hit, shots of him getting hit, and it was a blast. All day seemed like it took about 2 hours.
Now, did you go see it at the drive-in or anything, or when it came out? How many times did you?
Never seen it.
Wow, really? Why not?
I've done 15 films, and I've never seen any of them.
What?
That's crazy.
I'm critical. There'll be a picture picture of me throwing a kick or something, and I'll say my hand's in the wrong position, my feet's in the wrong. Look, I'm not looking the right way. I'll check, and I might have knocked the guy out with it. But,
You're your own worst critic.
Exactly.
So tell us about Elvis. I mean, you're a living man who met Elvis. Talk about that.
I mean, you're up there up close personal with this guy.
Well, I met Elvis in Memphis, Tennessee, 1973. I went down to Memphis to do my graduate work in physical education. I went down there to set up a martial arts program for the university. While I was down there, I was working for a guy named Kong Ree, who taught Priscilla, by the way, who was made Greenville under Kong Ree. But anyway, I was teaching for Kong Ree down there, and in February 1973, there was a tournament in Dallas, Texas called the U.S. Championships, put on by a guy named Alan Steen, probably one of the top 3 tournaments in the country.
Wow.
And I went and fought in it, and I won. I won the tournament, championship. So I come back, and I'm teaching for Connery. This is probably a Tuesday or Wednesday, and there's this big commotion out in the foyer, out in the front office. And we're teaching. I look at him, and I said, "What's going on?" And all of a sudden walks in Elvis Presley with Linda Thompson, because back that time he was with Linda Thompson. Linda Thompson and all the Memphis Mafia, the Jerry Shelley, Charlie Hodge, Red West, the guys that took care of his bodyguards.
Wow.
And Connery says, Master Cobra. I said, a lot of times the Koreans give you the names the way you fight. And I was fairly quick when I was competing. So, yes, I said, yes, sir. He says, Master Presley wants to say hi to you. I said, so I walk up there, and he was in Dallas, and he saw me fight. He saw the tournament, and he said he was very, very impressed with me, with my competition. And I said, oh, thank you. We talked for about 5 minutes or so, and then he left, and I went back to teaching, just dumbfounded, I didn't know anything to say. So I graduated from Memphis State University, went back to Indiana because that's where I was from. I get this phone call the next May, and it's from Elvis Presley. He says he wants me to come back to Memphis and work with him, and he wants to start training in karate again. He wants me to open. They have this schools that they've set up. He wants me to come back and teach at the school and work with him on some martial arts. And I said, well, I can do that. Yep. And I said, well, I can do that. The best part of it was calling my parents and telling them I just taken a job working for Elvis Presley.
Oh, God.
And I go back every, when I went back to Memphis last year, they had the 40th anniversary of Elvis's death. And I had to do a talk at Graceland and at the auditorium and so forth, and it was absolutely horrendous. It was just 2,000 people in the audience, and I'm standing out there talking to the people, and I'm looking out there, and I don't see any old people. And
really?
Listen to this. This is wild. I said, excuse me, how many of you have ever seen Elvis Presley live in concert?
Wow.
And about three or four people held their hands up. And I went, wow. So the other 1,995 of you are going by what you've heard on the radio or what you've heard on CDs or on television or what somebody told you. Yeah.
Wow.
He's more popular now than he was when he was alive. And you know how popular he was. Yeah, I mean, there are 2,000 people. People walking around dressed like Elvis Presley. People walking around just listening to music. I mean, it's just absolutely humongous how popular he still is.
I'm just thinking.
40 years.
I was just thinking Elvis. I think Elvis and John Belushi have been dead as long as they were alive. Which is kind of trippy.
Yeah, well. It's a terrible joke that I make, but I'm 0 for 2.
I mean, I see those pictures that Steve Joyner sent me. You and Elvis, and like even his karate gi, he's got the, like the stage bell bottoms on there, and he's wearing his boots. He's wearing those white boots.
Yeah, well, yes. Sometimes, hey, it's Elvis Presley. He's allowed to.
Yeah.
and it was his school, so it's okay. But yeah, he would dress like that. It was right. If you notice, also he had a collared shirt on under the uniform, under the karate gi.
Wow.
So and the belt hung down to the floor, so it's okay.
Yeah.
Well, no, but you actually hung out with him at Graceland, right?
Oh yeah. Well, after I met him, I'd hurt my right leg, or excuse me, my left leg in a karate tournament, and it was just mangled. It was all beat up. I had what is called a severe hematoma.
Wow.
Like a big bad bruise in my calf. And he called me up and said, "Get out here, I got a present for you." And I went, "Uh-oh." So I get out there, calls me up to his bedroom, and I'm up there with I'm up there with Elvis, and there's this big old fat guy there. He was there from Los Angeles, guy named Dr. Fitzgerald, and he says, "Take your pants off." I said, "What?" He said, "Take your pants off." I said, "You got to be kidding." And Elvis said, no, it's okay. He wants to look at your leg. So I take my pants down, and he puts 18 marks on my left leg from where the hematoma was all the way up to my calf, all the way up to my hip. And I hate needles. I'm scared to death of needles. But anyway, he gave me 18 shots of what is called xylocaine.
Wow.
It's a drug, yeah. And 15 minutes, my leg was as good as new.
Wow.
Yep, and I owe my entire career to Elvis for that. And then we went downstairs, and then had dinner with Lisa Marie, and a couple of the guys, and Elvis and myself.
Wow.
That was tough. Sitting at the big table having dinner.
Boy, that's amazing. You know?
Wow, yeah, the needles thing, I hate that too, going to the doctors or the dentist and getting needles in. And
oh yeah, I'd rather you punch me in the mouth. Punch me in the mouth. Don't give me a shot.
Yeah.
Wow. Just fascinating, I mean, how exciting. I mean, you met and hung out with Elvis and Jackie Chan and John Belushi. It's just amazing to hear. And Chuck Norris.
I came from Lafayette, Indiana. Went to high school, went to college, went to service, and sometimes how we're given choices.
Yeah.
Luckily for me, I made a lot of right choices. Made some screwy ones, made some bad choices, but most of my choices, as far as my career goes, as far as my life goes, have been pretty good choices. So, I've been very, very lucky in that aspect of it. God's been on my side.
Wow, that's great to hear, brother. You know what I mean? I mean, that's really exciting, too. I mean, I'm just thinking, I'm kind of quietly blown away. All right, you still see Chuck Norris from time to time?
Oh, yeah. Jane just sent him a message, last night. They're at the funeral right now. They're at George Bush's funeral right now.
Wow. Well, have you ever shared any Chuck Norris jokes with him?
Oh, he loves those things.
All those.
I think they're wonderful. He's an absolutely. If you've ever met him, he's absolutely a fantastic person.
Aww.
Absolutely fantastic.
I mean, you should see all the Chuck Norris T-shirts that come out with all these great memes and quotes on them. It's like, when the boogeyman goes to sleep, he checks his closet for Chuck Norris.
I mean, just good stuff.
I've got. Matter of fact, Chuck gave me one. Chuck Norris doesn't do push-ups. He pushes the world down.
He doesn't. Yeah, exactly.
That's great. That's hilarious. I mean, I love that you're an action guy. You know what I mean? I mean, you've never seen your movies. Have you ever come across them on TV?
No. If they're on TV, I change something out. I watch something else.
What?
I am the world's worst critic in the whole world. I'll go to a movie. I'll go to movies with people, and I'll say, oh, the scene has changed. Now watch, something's going to happen. Oh, he turned back. He turned this way, so he's going to get punched. Oh, now he's going to get shot. So people say, "Shut up, Bill. Just shut up."
It's like you could call the punches before they happen.
But
Yeah.
You know the technique, though, which is interesting. Of staged combat.
Now, on The Last Operative, which is in post-production, are you going to end up seeing that, or do we got to call you and tell you about it?
What is it? What is it now?
The Last Operative.
Who's that? Who's that? Is that with Chuck?
No, it's on. It says on your IMDb, it says The Last Operative. It's in post-production right now.
I hope not.
Go on.
And so, who's in that? Who do you are you fighting in this movie?
Well, the movie, I did a couple fight scenes in it. I found a couple guys. There was a guy named Michael DePasquale is doing the movie, and he's the star of the thing. And I fight a couple of the bad guys. I run a bar or something, and these guys come in, and I get to beat them up. So that's it's a small part, but hey, it was fun. You know, we did it a couple of years ago. I did the fight scenes about a year ago, I think it was. So should be pretty good. Should be pretty good.
So it's still in post production. You gotta keep us posted when it comes out.
I will do it.
What do you do now? I mean, you've got the dogs and stuff, and you said you're sort of similar.
What I do now, I have a pretty wild idea on flexibility. I have a master's degree in kinesiology and physiology of exercise. So I travel all over the world doing seminars, workshops on flexibility, kicking techniques, strengthening exercises, boxing skills, putting the kicking in with the boxing skills, and you know, I have a blast all over the world. Just got back from Nice, France 2 weeks ago. Last weekend I was in Memphis. I go to Virginia this weekend, then I have to go to Oklahoma, and then I'm done for the year.
Wow. That's great, man. You just go out and travel and just having fun, you know?
Well, sometimes it gets really old, you know.
Yeah.
Planes, you know. Yeah, well, I understand this. If I have to fly to, let's say, I have to fly to Roanoke, Virginia tomorrow. I have to be at the airport. 2 hours early. Then I fly to Charlotte, change planes in Charlotte, and fly on to Roanoke, Virginia.
Oh, wow.
By the time you picture him, it takes me another hour and a half to get to the spot. So I leave at 10 o'clock in the morning, and I get to Christiansburg like 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock tomorrow night.
Oh, wow. So that
it gets old fast. It gets old really, really fast. The seminar that I will do is a 3 or 4 hour seminar. So that's 5 or 6 hours on the airplane, or about 7 hours on the airplane, and the seminar will be half that time.
Wow.
Then I have to fly all the way back home.
Wow.
Oh, man. So that's physically draining right there.
Oh yeah. It's you know, it's fun. It's like Elvis. You know, Elvis never wanted to travel because he didn't like to fly on the airplanes.
Really?
Most of the time they drove or took a bus or something like this, and you hear all kinds of stories about how he's wildly popular here, and has never played there.
Wow. And I mean, just you standing in front of 2,000 people who never seen Elvis while he was live. That's amazing.
Yeah. I went to 2 or 3 of the concerts. You know, when he was around, hung out with him, and have some really, really, really good fond memories of it. Have some fond memories of John too. John was absolutely fantastic to hang around. He'd turn around and take about 5 steps, you just start laughing.
Did you hang out with James Belushi too at the time?
A little bit. When we were in Chicago, we hung out there because he's from the Chicago area.
Wow.
And we hung out a little bit when they had the Second City.
Yeah.
The comedy club.
Oh, yeah.
Because John and I would go there when James was playing there, and then when John died, James did a eulogy in St. Patrick's in New York.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, he's buried in Martha's Vineyard. Did you go to his funeral?
Did I what?
Did you go to the Belushi funeral?
Yeah, I was there. I was one of the pallbearers.
Wow, I did not realize that. Wow.
Yeah, it's not a really good sound, but it's okay. Yeah, he was Judy asked me. The crazy thing is, when I went to the funeral, I landed in New York, and I don't have a place to stay, so I stayed with Bill Murray.
Oh, wow.
Did you really?
Wow, slumber party with Bill Murray.
Yeah, and then the crazy thing, too, is I opened my bag up, and I said, shit, I don't have a white shirt. And he said, no problem. So I think I still have it somewhere. Bill gave me a white shirt to wear.
Wow.
Oh, how cool is that?
That's pretty damn amazing. I mean, wow. You were in Martha's Vineyard for this terrible... I saw his grave when it was in Martha's Vineyard, but it's a beautiful place otherwise.
Yeah, well, was there twice when we did Content Live. We did a lot of rehearsing in Martha's Vineyard, and then when John died, we went over there for the funeral. Yeah, and the funeral was at Martha's Vineyard, but they had the funeral service, in New York City. So. Wow,
interesting. Now, let me walk you back to the fight scene. When you do fight scenes, what are the big dangers and what are the coolest parts?
Well, the only danger is if you don't trust the other guy and he's trying to hit you. That's the danger part of it, because you're trying to make the shot look good. You're trying to make the scene look good. You're trying to make the punch or the kick look good, and the other guy's just throwing.
Wow.
So sometimes that's not very good. And then also the camera, because it's only it's not three-dimensional, so it shows every miss that there is. The camera shows all the misses. It doesn't show any depth. So if I miss you by 3 feet and the camera's behind me, you can't tell it. If you turn your head when I throw the punch, it looks like I hit you. It's basically with sound effects. So you don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to come close.
Wow.
You don't have to come close. They just like to, stuntmen, they don't want to get hit because they've got to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
And sometimes with Steven Seagal, when Steven Seagal would do the fight scene with the Aikido movements, he would twist their arm the wrong way, and he would dislocate an elbow or dislocate a wrist or dislocate a shoulder. So now these guys can't work for a couple months.
Wow.
And they're not gonna. Steven's not gonna pay for that. So, a lot of times they don't want to do the fight scenes with him because, he takes it a little bit too far sometimes.
Especially if he knows they're not going to hit him because he's the star and he's beating them up.
Oh, yeah. The job is to look good. Steven Seagal is the star of the film. So everybody else in that movie is supposed to make Steven look good. If Chuck Norris is the star of the film, our jobs, everybody's job, is to make Chuck look good. That's why he's the star.
So if you're hurting them, how does that put you ahead at all? You know what I mean?
Oh, I have no ego. That doesn't matter. My job, I had a blast. I had an absolute blast out there when I did the film with Chuck. I learned so much, met a lot of people, did a lot of good things out there. So I had a blast. And I don't mind dying. I'm so good at dying right now. There's so many death scenes that when it comes time to dying, I'm just going to ask God, hey, which way you want me to go? And I can do it.
He'll set you on fire and throw you out a window.
Now, is it true that in which was it Game of Death? What was the one where Chuck Norris dies from Bruce Lee?
No.
Revenge of the Dragon.
Yeah, that's a great one.
That's the only time I've seen Chuck Norris die.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, he died. There was a film a long, long time ago, back in the early 70s, called Yellow-Faced Tiger.
Oh.
They did it in San Francisco. He was a bad guy.
Really?
And he got killed. Yeah, and he got killed there. Yeah.
Wow, I never heard about this.
That's what's. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a small film, Chinese film, but it was one of those films that's how he got his break. That's how he got his start in martial arts.
Wow.
And in the film industry. Sorry.
So that was all the old Harvest films, right?
Yeah.
Golden Harvest. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, Golden Harvest, yeah.
Wow. Golden Harvest. So did you ever meet Raymond Chow or Run Shaw?
I did. I met Raymond Chow when we did Jackie Chan's film. I met Raymond Chow over there.
Well, have you met
Yeah,
Raymond?
they took us out to. I was over there for Thanksgiving, and with the American crew, and Jackie Raymond took us all out for Thanksgiving dinner.
Really?
And,
Wow.
yeah.
No,
So we had turkey.
did you meet Thomas Gray as well?
Excuse me on that one.
Yeah, did you meet a producer named Thomas Gray?
Thomas Gray.
He
No,
produces.
I don't. I'm terrible with names, but I don't remember Thomas Gray.
Okay,
What did he do?
he and Raymond produced all of Jackie's movies.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I mean, he might have been there because, you know, he had his whole stunt crew there and everybody else. And, you know, an American crew, but, you know, I don't believe I met him.
Was it weird being in a foreign country on Thanksgiving?
No, because I've been in a lot of foreign countries. Matter of fact, my wife and I were in Nice, France, just this last week for Thanksgiving.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah. The United States is the only country that celebrates Thanksgiving, so, you know.
We're the only ones who
If
are thankful.
if we're not here, we don't really even think about it because there's no advertising or anything for it. So.
Wow. Interesting. I mean, Steve Joyner found a great guest in you, Bill. Thank you. You know. Now, what made you want to be a martial artist as a kid?
Well, I was a wrestler in high school and college because I was too little to do anything else. When my freshman year in high school, I weighed 89 pounds.
Wow.
And, oh yeah, and I was on the freshman football team. I was the long snapper. You know what the long snapper is? He's the guy that centers the ball back to the place kicker or to the fencer.
Oh, wow.
And because I was the only one stupid enough to keep my head down. And the whole season, I never lost a snap.
Wow.
So that's the good thing there. But you know, when you get to be a sophomore in high school, they get a lot bigger. So I figured my freshman year, my athletic career is done because I'm 89 pounds as a freshman, and too light to be a football player, and too short to be a basketball player. So I'm going, well, what am I going to do? And I'm walking by the classes one time, and I see these guys in this little room rolling all over the place. So I walked in, I said, what the heck is this? And it's wrestling. So I started wrestling because you wrestle guys your own size.
Wow.
Yeah, my freshman year, I wrestled 95 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
How tall are you? I mean, how tall? Were you shorter there in high school?
Oh, yeah, maybe 5'5". Not very big at all.
So you didn't grow till you got out of school, till you're like late teens, right?
Yeah, probably when I joined the service, yeah. And when I graduated from high school, I joined the service with a friend of mine. And when I got to my permanent station, I went over across because I wanted to continue to wrestle because that's the only thing I could do. And the guy said, well, I don't know if we have any wrestling or not, but there's a bunch of guys rolling around in the back. So I walked in the back, and these guys were wearing these white suits throwing each other all over the place.
Wow.
So I said, hey, excuse me, does anybody in here wrestle? And the instructor gets up, and he says, I wrestle. You want to wrestle? I said, yes, sir. So he takes his uniform top off, and we wrestle. I take him down a couple times. I put him on his back a couple times. He says, that's pretty good. Now put this little white coat on. So I put the little white coat on and says, now we're going to wrestle again. He threw me all over the place. I bounced off the walls. I bounced off the ceiling. I bounced off the floor. I said, what is this stuff called? He says, it's called judo. I said, I like this. So I started playing judo. And then I get stationed in 1965 over in Okinawa. And I was still playing judo. I tear my knee up over there. Guy falls on my knee, tears a medial ligament. And now I know my career is gone because back then there was no arthroscopic surgery. It's called exploratory. And but a friend of mine says, hey, there's a karate school downtown. Let's go check it out. Now I'm in a cast from my ankle all the way up to my hip.
Wow.
So we mangled down there to the karate school, and I'm sitting there, and the guy says, you want to do karate? I said, what? He says, you want to do karate? I said, what did you just say? He says, do you want to do karate? I said, yeah, sure, I'd like to. That sounds like fun. He says, stand up. I said, I can't stand up. I got a cast on. He says, no problem. We do yoga giddy. I said, what the heck is yoga giddy? Side kick. So finally got out of the cast in about a month or two, and I come back and start training in the karate aspect. I'm falling absolutely in love with it. Then I go back to it because I'd only done it for about 6 months. I didn't make black belt, but I made brown belt. So I go back to California. I'm stationed at San Bernardino Air Force Base, and there's a Shorin-ryu karate school downtown San Bernardino. So I started working out with them, and I make black belt under those guys under Mickey Jack and George Corbett.
Wow.
And I start competing out. Yeah. And get out of the service in '67, come back to Indiana, go to Ball State University, and start competing again, and just start, got lucky a couple times and won a couple matches, and here I am.
Wow, amazing. So you kind of fell into this by accident. It wasn't even planned,
But just like Chuck, too, by the way.
I thought when I got out of the service that my martial arts career was finished. I go back to Indiana. My father wanted me to be a school teacher, so I was going to go back to be a school teacher. So I'm over at the men's gym. I'm going to teach physical education, I'm thinking. So I'm over at the men's gym, and I'm just doing some working out things. And this guy says, "You do martial arts?" I said, "Yeah, I did judo and karate a little bit." He says, "Well, heck." And he introduced his name was, Robert Hoppins or something like that. He said, "Well, a bunch of us are going to get together down in Indianapolis at this karate school. You want to go?" I said, "Heck yeah." So we go down there, and that's where I met all the top guys. Back in the 60s and early 70s, a guy named Parker Shelton, Robert Bowles, Glenn Keeney, all these guys, we just became, they're all from Indiana. We became great friends, and we went all over the place traveling, competing together, and winning, and having an absolute blast.
Wow.
You mentioned that guy Cheney. Now, I think he had a school right here in Upland.
Who? Jamie who?
Cheney, the last name Cheney.
Oh, Bob Cheney?
Bob Cheney, yeah, he had a school here right here in Upland.
Oh, yeah. He's a careful guy. Yeah, he's in Las Vegas now. But he's one of the careful people. Did a lot. I've done some seminars for Bob in Las Vegas.
So yeah, he's right here in our town. And one day I remember because I go in that shopping center a lot. It's right and he's friends with Burt Ward, Robin the Boy Wonder.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Burt Ward practiced martial arts. You know what I mean? So all these. Wow.
And I know a bunch of people. It's nice to meet. Luckily they're all my friends. So you have to. If you're gonna work in this industry, in the martial arts industry, you have to be friends with everybody because we all do the same thing. We just do it a little bit differently. Wow. And it's an absolute blast. I've been doing this now since 1963, and it's an absolute blast. Love it.
And now I got stories to tell you. When I go to the Museum of Martial Arts Christmas party in a few weeks here.
Yes. Tell everybody that I said hi.
Wow.
There'll be a bunch of guys there. You'll see Eric Lee there. You'll see a bunch of guys. Machida, all those guys. Yeah, tell them I said hi.
Yeah, Camacho, Mark Hoadley.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those guys.
And of course, Cynthia will be there, too.
Oh, please, give her a big hug for me.
Yeah.
Because I was just in September, we were in Zurich, Switzerland together.
Really? Well, I gotta ask, since we have you, how did you get the name Superfoot, and who gave it to you?
Yeah.
I've always been a kicker. I like to kick, and I'm a fairly fast kicker. And I'm defending my title for the second time in Las Vegas, live CBS Sports Spectacular, and I'm fighting this really good fighter named Jimmy Colas. And the second round, I catch him with this really fast roundhouse kick right in the chin, and I drop him. And all of a sudden he said, what just happened? What just happened? Wow. Nobody could see the kick. And they played it back from so many different angles, they finally saw the kick.
Wow.
And the president of the PCA at the time, a guy named Don Quine, was in the Lakers basketball game that next week. And he goes back to the concession stand, and there's this big sign that says Superfoot Long Hot Dogs. And that's where the Superfoot came from.
Wow. That's amazing.
I hated it at first. I absolutely hated it at first.
What?
It had been called Fast Billy, Howdy Doody. I like Fast Billy, but Superfoot, it's a stupid name. Stupid. stupid name, but it just kind of grew on me, you know.
Yeah.
It's a great name.
It's great. There's only one Superfoot in the world.
That's it. Matter of fact, I have a couple lawsuits on it too. People that claim to be Superfoot, and so you know, says you can't use that name because it's copyrighted. So they dropped it. So makes me feel good. Makes me feel good.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, you're the man. You know.
You gotta own it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. It's mine.
Wow. That's just amazing. You know what I mean? I mean, the mere fact that you can do it. You know.
Well, you know, I just turned 73, and I'm still very, very flexible. Still do the splits. Still do all the kicking techniques. They feel great. You know, I'm 73, but I feel about 45.
Wow.
I feel really good. Feel flexible. Everything's still working. Well, I think everything's still working. I'm sure things still hurt, but at my age, I just don't remember where.
Boy, oh boy.
Yeah. So those pictures we posted with you, and those are your current pictthis guy's in great shape.
Great shape. Yeah, well, I enjoy the training. I enjoy the working out. And martial arts has you know, been very, very, very good to me. Yeah.
Hey, are you friends with Emil Farkas?
I know Emil Farkas well.
Wow.
I think he still has his school on Santa Monica Boulevard.
Wow.
Done tons of things with Emil. Yeah, he's a good guy.
Emil Farkas, that's amazing. I remember reading an article about him kicking Spider-Man's ass from Inside Kung Fu magazine.
Yep. I think he also worked on, what was it? I worked on a film, God, what's that name with James Caan? Did a film a long time ago with James Caan. Killer Elite.
Oh, yeah. You know what? I just watched that damn thing on Netflix.
Yeah, and that might be the new one. But yeah, James Caan did it a long time ago, and Emil Farkas did some of the fight scenes.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah.
Wow.
How cool is that?
Emil Farkas. Wow.
Oh yeah. Go back a long time. You know, I used to when I was living in Beverly Hills. I used to go down to June Chung's karate school on Wilshire Boulevard, and Philip Ree and I and Simon Ree, his brother, we would spar for hours.
Wow.
And have an absolute blast. We have Dolph Lundgren there too.
Really?
Yeah, Dolph Lundgren. I'm there working out. We just got through working out, and Dolph Lundgren walks into school, and he looks at me and he says, "You're Bill Wallace." I said, "Yeah." And you know, it only been asked, says, "You're Dolph Lundgren." He says, "Yeah." So he shakes hands. He was, I don't know if you knew this or not, but he was national champion in Sweden, Kyokushinkai.
No, I did not know that.
Wow.
Yep, he's Kyokushinkai. Yep.
Wow.
And the nicest person you'll ever want to meet.
But it could break you in half on a bad day. Not you, but us.
How tall is Dolph Lundgren?
Oh, probably 6'3", 6'4".
Oh yeah, he's a big dude. Yeah.
Yep. And built great, very strong.
Wow.
Very strong. Yep.
That's amazing. That's just when you look at that, that's just amazing. How exciting! Boy, oh
Well,
boy.
you know, if you're active in the martial arts, you're busy. You run around, you meet people, you talk to people, you exchange ideas, you exchange movements together, and it's an absolute ball because nobody's so good. Nobody's so good that they're too good.
Wow.
You know, Chuck Norris, we would work out, we'd have a blast together. I started in stretching back in the late 70s when we started doing a force of one. I started him stretching. Now he can do the splits.
Wow.
So yeah, and you know, other people that just some ideas. You know, the whole beauty of life itself is exchanging ideas.
Boy, that's
because
amazing.
You might have a better way of doing it than I do.
Well, I gotta ask, Bill, because you've been in so many, you've had so many matches. Have you ever been knocked out?
Never.
Wow. Have you ever knocked someone else out?
Oh, several times. better them than me.
That's right.
I have this philosophy. If there's a chance if you and I spar, the one of us will get hurt, I'd rather it be you.
I would, of course, feel differently, but wow. All right, let me ask you this. I mean, this is just amazing talking about this. Did you ever meet Count Dante from the old comic book ads? Remember Count Dante, the super martial artist?
Oh, yeah.
And was he?
I never did, no.
Now, I want to know, did you do some episodes of Walker, Texas Ranger?
We did. Matter of fact, Joe Lewis, Howard Jackson, Don Wilson, and I did the very last one called Legends.
Oh, Don the Dragon Wilson. Yeah, I met him several times.
Yep. Oh, he's a great guy. One of my super good friends.
He knocked Jeff out once.
He did. I did what?
No, he's just making fun of that. No,
I said he knocked Jeff.
In fact, we saw him. We saw him at Comic-Con, Pat.
We did.
Oh, yeah. I would imagine, yeah, because he goes to a lot of those places. Yep. Very popular.
Wow. That's amazing, man. You know?
So where was Texas? Where was Texas Ranger filmed? I mean, where in Texas?
Dallas, Texas.
In Dallas, huh?
Yep.
Because I know that when that show was on, a lot of location shootings.
Oh yeah, because of the Texas Rangers, they're out in the boonies, and all of it. But it was all of it was filmed in Dallas and around Dallas, Texas.
Wow.
And now, how about that movie with Chuck Norris and David Carradine, Lone Wolf McQuade? Do you have were you there on set at that time?
No, I was not. But I've talked to different people. Mike Dillard, who owns Century Martial Arts, was doing a fight scene with David Carradine, and David hurt him, cut him up.
Wow.
Wow. And now, if that happens now, Mike can't go back on the set right away because he's got to let those things heal. So, silly things, dumb things like, you shouldn't get hit, you shouldn't get punched, you shouldn't get hit, because it's a movie. It's not like the baddest dude in the world,
Right.
I've been killed by some really, really good guys, and I've been killed by really, really bad guys.
Wow.
I've been impaled on logs. I've been ran over by a train. I've been electrocuted. Jackie Chan electrocuted me. Chuck Norris broke my neck.
Wow.
Wow.
That's exciting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But how tall was David Carradine? A big guy? How tall was he?
Tall. He's tall. Probably 6'1", 6'1", something like that.
Yeah.
Slender. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
He's dead now.
Yeah, he passed. Interesting guy. I mean, I've told the story in the air before, but I did one of his last interviews before he left for Thailand to make the movie.
Oh wow. You did?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
And his agent told him, his agent told me, you're going to love him. David's terrific. You're going to have a great time with him. And he goes, in about an hour into the interview, Dave is going to ask you how you got this number, how you got his home phone number. And he goes, do not tell him. His own agent was afraid of him. It was interesting.
So what did you say, Pat?
No idea.
Well, he did exactly like you asked. He would be charming as hell. Then he'd try to find out how I got the number. I wouldn't tell him. Then he'd try to find out how I got the number. Then he'd go back to being charming. Then he goes, hey, you can tell me. How'd you get the number? I go, ask me no questions and I'll tell you no lies, Dave. I have that on tape. But he was pretty cool. My brother wrote a Spielberg movie that was never made where he was a major character. So he wouldn't have beaten me up. He would have beaten up the agent.
Yeah.
Boy, oh boy, Bill. Is there anyone you regret not working with?
No, I mean, I never considered myself a movie star. I liked doing the film because friends that I had were doing the movie themselves. You know, like Philip Ree and Jackie Chan and Chuck, and so I enjoyed doing the movie. Steel Porter, like you say, Cameron Mitchell, and God, the Oriental guy up in San Francisco.
Leo Fong. What was it, Leo?
Leo Fong. Leo Fong was a friend of mine, so he asked me to do it. We did the filming down in Los Angeles.
Wow.
So, yeah, and so I enjoyed doing it, and I never considered myself an actor, you might say. So I just had fun doing the scenes.
It's just, to me, that's exciting, man. You worked with everybody, you know.
Well, I have fun. I'm an old person, but I'm very, very. If you couldn't tell, I'm very, very easy to get along with.
Oh yeah.
And I don't have much of an ego, so you can say bad things about me. It doesn't hurt that bad. But I'll kill you if you sue.
Jeff is challenging you to a Texas street fight.
Hey, I'll kill him.
Please make sure I have a ringside seat.
It won't last that long.
Wow.
Oh man, I used to be able to stretch. I used to be able to kick back in the early '80s.
Like a girl.
Oh, shut up. I'll kick your ass, dude.
Well, you gotta say Karnak because there's too much muscle protecting the butt.
Wow.
Patrick's 6'9" here.
This is true.
But see, that works. You kick him in the groin, make him bend over,
Yeah.
kick him in the head.
See, from my neighborhood, kicking in the groin would be considered cheating.
Yeah. He's from
It's only cheating if you get caught.
That's what my friend Dave's father used to say.
He's from Detroit. He wasn't that far from you.
Oh, then it's okay. It's part of the armpit, so it's okay.
Hey, Bill, what is your favorite signature move? What do you consider your best move?
I was a kicker. I like to kick people. I have three basic signature moves. I have a side kick, a roundhouse kick, and a hook kick, and I work those in combination with each other. So it works really, really good.
Wow.
And it looks awesome too when it's filmed the correct way, right, Bill?
Yeah, it looks good. You go, wow, look at that, and I feel good doing it. So that's very comfortable, very relaxed. Speed.
A good roundhouse, when filmed right, can be very powerful.
Oh yeah, and it looks even better.
Wow.
Especially with the sound effects and everything. Ouch.
I love those sound effects, but they sound like a bag of Pringles being smashed, Now, when you get hit in real life, do you hear those sound effects like in the movie or no?
Oh yeah. You get the bottom of your foot slaps across your face like in a hook kick or some kind of a hooking movement. It makes a nice loud smack, just like you clap your hands. And then you get hit in the body with a side kick or a left hook or something like that, and it goes thunk, and you go, ouch.
Wow.
They're quite evident. Matter of fact, if you ever watch boxing matches, live boxing matches, you'll hear some of the sound effects, and you go, wow, that sounded hard.
Yeah.
And no doubt it probably was,
Jeez.
How about some cracked ribs? Have you ever cracked anybody's ribs unintentionally?
Oh, yeah, I've broken ribs. When I was fighting, I intentionally did it.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. Well, hey, it's hard to fight when you can't breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when you know you've got hit.
Oh yeah. You get there and you try to take your breath and nothing comes out. You go, oh crap, because nothing else when you can't breathe.
Wow. Wow. That's impressive. You know what I mean? I mean, just impressive to hear, I mean, it's exciting too, that the fact that you can do.
Well, the fighting is fun. I never consider it fighting. I always consider it competition. I very, very seldom ever threw anything hard. I just threw it to hit. If I hit you 35 times and you hit me 34 times, I win.
Wow.
But also, if I hit you once and you don't hit me at all, I still win. So, I I like to not get hit back. You know, my conversation can be much better that way.
Bill, have you ever refereed a fight?
Oh yeah. I'm referee. Yeah, I was guest referee several times and referee tons and tons and tons of point matches. You know, as you're coming up, to the point field, black belts always help the referee. That's how you get the tournament over with real fast.
Wow, that's really exciting.
Now, what about judge? Where you sit behind the, you got the referee, and then what? How does the referee go to the judge?
You got the head referee that's in the middle. Then you got the side judges, which there can be either 3 or 4 of them. If it's a kickboxing match, they sit in the corners of the ring and watch, and they're sitting on the auditorium floor.
Oh.
But in a point match, they sit in a chair around the ring, because the ring is just street level.
Right.
Interesting.
I was wondering how they did point. Where you got points, and I see the judges, and then I see the referees, and how they all work together and determines who wins.
Yeah. If there's 4 people, or if there's 5 people refereeing, 4 corner judges and the referee, 3 people have to call a point to get a point.
Ah, okay.
And if there's only 3 judges, 2 people have to call a point.
Wow, interesting. That's
If
really
you're
cool.
watching, it's kind of once you understand some of the movement, it gets to be very interesting. It's kind of be fun, Then you can understand it,
Well, incredibly, you've been amazingly interesting this entire time. We really appreciate that.
Oh, my pleasure. Well, like we said, once we start talking, I can talk forever.
Well, I can listen forever.
I can lie through my teeth.
Wow. That's too funny,
I like this poster here for LA Street Fighters. It almost looks like a video game box. Who are the guys on the cover?
I don't remember. I think it's Philip Reed. June Chung is the star. June Chung was the star.
Oh, June Chung, yeah.
Yeah, little bitty guy. Philip Reed was in it. Simon Reed was in it. I was in it.
Good.
I can't remember who else. I don't know if Sam Jones was in it or not. But
Sam Jones, really?
Yeah, we just saw Sam Jones not too long ago.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah, he used to train at June Chung's.
Wow, I didn't realize Sam was a real martial artist.
Oh yeah.
He's in great shape. He was in great shape when we saw him, Pat.
Yeah, he's a charming guy, too.
Yeah, Flash Gordon. He did Flash Gordon.
Yeah, boy, oh boy. I think he got into a couple bar fights.
I don't know if he realizes it or not, but he was Bo Derek's husband in 10.
Isn't that amazing?
That's right.
They said that's where Dino De Laurentiis first saw him.
That's right.
Yep.
He was the guy that drifted to sea on the floating mattress.
Exactly, yeah. And got the sunburn. Yeah, got sunburn. Yeah.
And Dudley Moore goes, oh, gosh, should I let the guy drown so I can move in on this chick, or do I save the guy?
Exactly.
That's funny. Wow, real martial artist. That's amazing. What about, so, go ahead. You were saying? Sorry.
I didn't say anything. I was just listening to you guys. What's going on?
Oh, wow. It's so exciting. I mean, did you ever do anything with Sammo Hung?
No, I never did. He was Jackie Chan's best friend. He was, he did a bunch of stuff with Bruce Lee. Matter of fact, he was the guy at the very start of Enter the Dragon that did a little wrestling match with Bruce.
That was Sammo Hung?
Wow.
Did you ever meet Bo the Brute?
I never did anything with Bo Young, no.
But did you ever meet him?
I never. Only one I met was Jean-Claude. And we worked out together. We would go over to Bob Wolf's house, and Chuck Norris, Jean-Claude, and myself. We'd work out.
Wow.
We worked out in the morning from about 8 o'clock to about 9:30 in the morning. We have a great workout.
Wow.
How cool, man.
And by that was just kicking the crap out of each other, or just
No,
like.
no, we did exercising. Did some flexibility training, did some kicking, but not kick the crap out. Just combination kicking, things like that. And then we would go outside and we do pull-ups on the bar, do dips on the bar, and then Bob had a bag, so we go work the bag a little bit.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, we have a blast. Have an absolute blast.
That's so exciting to hear, to be honest with you,
I mean, to get all those legends together, just working out, having a good time,
Oh, well, like I said, it's you don't have any egos coming into play. You don't have this, you don't have that. And Chuck back in the early '80s was phenomenal athlete and phenomenally in good shape and very, very successful. So, and we had never talked about movies, never talked about anything. We just talked about, hey, let's work out. Let's just work out and have a blast.
And me and Patrick, we like to collect action figures, and I remember going to Toys R Us and buying the Chuck Norris Karate Commandos because he had a cartoon that came out.
Oh yeah, I remember the Karate Commando guy. Yeah.
Remember the bad guy's name was Super Ninja.
Yeah, Super Ninja.
Yeah, you know what the best thing that we used to do after we worked out?
No.
Bob lived in not Sherman Oaks, but not Encino, but I don't know. But we would drive down to Winchell's Donuts.
Oh.
Remember Winchell's Donuts?
I do. There's still a couple around.
Oh, great donuts! And they had maple bars, and I would buy us maple bars, and we'd eat maple bars.
Wow.
Frosted Long Johns. Yeah,
you like the Long Johns?
Something like that. Oh, I love those things.
More than the sour cream? No, more than the sour cream old fashions?
No, I never had the cream in it. Just the frosting on the top.
Wow.
I can't imagine. Look at all these tough heart, great shape guys, and they're eating Winchell's donuts.
Scarfing down Winchell's donuts.
We pull out the Winchell's donuts, and here they come again.
Gosh, that's amazing.
I just love it.
We had a blast.
Let me ask you, do they have Krispy Kreme donuts where you're at in Florida?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do.
They do.
When they're hot, they're great.
Oh, yeah.
They just, you stick one in your mouth and it just kind of melts and goes right down.
Oh, yeah. I get in there and watch them cook it, and I go, that's the one I want right there, and they get the fresh.
If you watch them cook them, you get sick. I was getting sick watching that liquid sugar.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're floating down this river,
You can't wait to jack it into your veins.
Exactly. And then that little donut pops out, and then it drops into the vat of sugar, and then it comes out, and it's all wet and dripping. You go, I'm going to eat that.
I'm going to eat that, yeah. And after I go,
I would have eaten it off the floor of a bus station.
Oh, yeah. Krispy Kreme. I'll eat those out of a dumpster. They're so good.
Oh, yeah. As long as they're not dirty, hey, you got the 10-second rule,
Yeah, clearly.
Well, that's awesome, man.
Wow, Bill.
Thank you.
Bill, you've been an amazing, amazing guest. We can't thank you enough. And we have to request, when you're on the coast, you got to come in and do the show.
I would love to. You talked me into it.
Oh, you'll be an in-studio guest.
We'll buy the Krispy Kreme, baby.
Oh, yeah, we'll load it with Krispy Kreme. Are you a coffee drinker?
No, but I'll drink a Coca-Cola and I'll tell you it's coffee.
And since you can kick both of our asses while sitting down, we'll agree with you.
We'll do it. You talk me into that too. I'll do it.
Wow. Hey, Bill, thank you so much for an amazing show. We really...
My pleasure.
But plug yourself. Where can people follow you on the internet? Where can we follow you?
Are you on the internet? Are you on the Facebook? Oh, wait, you got a Facebook?
Yeah, superfoot.com.
Wow.
BillWallace.com or superfoot.com.
And what do you got coming up?
I'm going to, like I said, to Roanoke, Virginia this weekend. Then next weekend I go to Tulsa, Oklahoma. And then I'm done till after the first of the year. I'm taking 3 weeks and do nothing.
Wow! Merry Christmas to you.
I'm gonna play with my dogs and chase my dogs and have them chase me.
Oh, well, Bill Superfoot Wallace, you blew us away. Thank you so much for doing the show, and thanks Steve Joyner for us for bringing you on.
Yeah, thanks Steve for hooking us up.
Thank you guys very much. I had a blast.
Oh, we did too, sir. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
All right, be well, Superfoot. Anything else? Thank you, sir.
Hey, just remember, keep kicking.
Keep kicking, brother.
Thank you, brother.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Take care. Wow. What a man. What a amazing cat that guy is. Wow. A hell of a show. Hell of a guest.
Yeah, this was a great show pulling out a hiatus,
And unfortunately, we came back from hiatus, and now we got to tell people, well, we're
back, but then we leave, we come and go, and just,
I got a gig tomorrow, and I think you do too, don't you?
Yes, I got to go down and work on, I could talk about it. It's for a children's library prehistoric theme. I got to make a pterodactyl.
I was only joking about you being a Victorian pedophile.
Where do you get that? Just because someone has a mustache, you think there's some kind of pervert. You know what?
Go on.
Yeah. So anyway, we're gonna cook up. We're gonna make some dinosaurs. I got to make some dinosaurs for
That's cool. You're making dinosaurs
for a brand new library in Orange County there.
And I will be encased in latex tomorrow.
All right, cool.
Lovely Lisa Lex is turning me into a creature.
So what people have to do, they have to download the app, and every time a Chaotic radio show comes on, you'll be notified on your phone.
Nifty.
That's how I get everybody else's show.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I will. This is how you found out about the nerd market or whatever. What's that?
Nerd Dungeon.
I don't want to pimp them though. They don't pimp us.
Yeah. Nerd Dungeon, and then there was there's one last night where I seen Bernard's in behind the glass right there in the booth. Gosh, I don't even know what her name is. I've watched it twice. That pops up. Zig Zone, all those guys, all our Chaotic family. It pops up, and I'll check it out and see what's going on.
That's good.
We gotta let's fix this phone situation, man.
Yeah, that does need work.
You hear that, Bernard?
Hey. Be nice. Be nice to our benefactor.
I don't know. You came in loud and clear when I called your phone from the station.
This is true.
So I don't know if it's a long-distance thing, a cell phone thing from Florida.
Well, that's one of the things that's been holding us back. We can't do a good phoner, and sometimes we get guests who can only do phoners, like Bill from Florida.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of people. They're all over this planet here. But we like nothing's better than an in-studio guest,
An in-studio guest, and I hate the fact that the mics will be dark on Hot Chick Friday, but we have no choice, gentlemen.
Yeah,
and
no Hot Chick Friday tomorrow. Sorry about that.
We got gigs that bear us in. So
that's show business,
This is.
So we try to do the best we can here to bring you the best, funnest entertainment in the morning.
It don't cost you nothing. What
It didn't cost you nothing. Just tune in. All right.
So whatever you do to live, drive, and survive, it is 8:59, and we's out of here.
Farewell. Thanks for tuning into the Jeff and Janki Show.
Jeff and Janki love you and appreciate your patronage.
Yeah.
Come on, kids.
See you later.
Oh, that must be a fun show. We'll kill the mic so we can talk freely.
Yeah. Let me go punch that off before we shoot our mouth off and get ourselves in trouble.
Like always.
Oh, man. Oh. That didn't feel good, though.
It does.